Citizen Potawatomi Nation Director of Planning and Economic Development, Dr. Jim Collard, appeared on Hownikan podcast in November 2020. He discussed the benefits of business with CPN and Iron Horse Industrial Park with me, Hownikan podcast host, Paige Willett.
The Iron Horse Industrial Park is the only active foreign trade zone on Native American trust land. Foreign trade zones are a very unique feature of the U.S. commercial system in that it provides a location for tariff deferment and tariff elimination in certain cases. So, for instance, if a company, a U.S. or foreign company, is located within the United States but not in a foreign trade zone, if they bring raw material or parts in from outside the United States, as soon as that material / parts hits the shores of the United States, the company has to write out a very large check to cover all the tariff assessments. However, if the company is located within a foreign trade zone, such as Iron Horse, then the material comes directly into the foreign trade zone. It is then turned into another product. At that point, the final product is either sent inside the United States or out overseas again. The tariff assessment is therefore the lower of all the combined materials and parts, or the final product. And in many cases, the final product is less than the accumulated tariffs on all the parts. So that's a huge tax savings right there. If the product is sent back out overseas, there are zero tariffs because it never hits the commerce of the United States. So finally, once it goes into the U.S., then it's by piece. So in other words, you save an enormous amount of money in terms of taking the lower assessment, and you get to hold on to your money longer because it goes out one at a time rather than per shipment. In addition, you save a lot of time in terms of the Customs and Border Protection processing because that activity is taking place within Iron Horse rather than waiting out in the ocean for your tanker to finally get into the port, be they Long Beach or wherever it is. And then finally, there's a provision called merchandise processing fees that allow for reduction of how often, or a combination of how often those fees are assessed. And so there's another big savings there. That's one piece of Iron Horse. In addition, the tribe is tax exempt, and we can monetize those savings to the individual customers, whereby they will not end up not having to pay property and sales taxes on their materials. They will still, of course, pay sales taxes, or their customers will, on the final product, but not on the equipment or the materials used to produce the products. So those are gigantic savings. It's the best tax package in the country.
The best tax package in the country, you
say?
say?
Yeah, absolutely, hands down.
Aside from monetary reasons, why else should businesses choose to work with Iron Horse to build their industrial businesses?
Well, we are located in the center of the United States on a Class 1 railroad with redundancy to a short line operator as well. We're very close to Oklahoma City, and we're not very far from Dallas. We like to joke with people that we consider Dallas to be our most successful suburb. And of course, they chuckle at first, and then they get thinking about it, and they realize actually we are very close to the Dallas markets. But we're very close to Kansas City. Denver's not that far away. Houston, by the way, is our primary port of entry. But of course, we get products from everywhere, Long Beach, LA, and the East Coast, and even out of the Great Lakes as well. So we have the rail infrastructure. We are within 10 miles of Interstate 40, within 30 minutes of I-35, and of course, an international airport's not very far away as well. So we're ideally located in the center of the United States.
Ideally everywhere.
Pretty much, yeah, that's right. And then we have the advantage of a low-cost business environment being located in Oklahoma. Oklahoma is a very business-friendly state, and we have a workforce that's wonderful that is low union, a very small union presence, and so our wage rates are very competitive.
So apart from businesses who want to do business with Iron Horse, how does it expand the tribe's economic development?
Well, it diversifies the base, of course. The tribe has, last time I checked, was 22 separate businesses. The casinos are the big ones, of course. Iron Horse provides manufacturing. Manufacturing has a huge economic multiplier associated with it. So it allows tribal and non-tribal members to get jobs that are higher paying than, say, retail or other industries, manufacturing being the highest. So that's the biggest thing. It diversifies the tribal economy.
And with businesses coming in internationally.
Oh, yes, absolutely. We have a global footprint. And we are well known internationally. Our first company is Canadian.
Right.
They should be in production in the spring. And we spent a lot of time recruiting Canadian companies. We love Canada. The two closest allies on the planet. We have close friends in Canada. And we're also looking at our other allies, of course, Great Britain, Japan, Taiwan we're talking to as well, Germany. Sometimes France pops up. We'd love to work with France.
So, I mean, a lot of different places all over
Oh, sure.
Europe and into Asia. And
You bet, yeah. I'm on the board of directors for several internationally oriented groups. I'm on the board of directors for the International Economic Development Council, IEDC. I'm on the board of directors and past chair of the Oklahoma Governors International Team. And I'm on the executive committee of a group called the International Intertribal Trade and Investment Organization. This is started off as a joint U.S.-Canadian effort, now has expanded to Australia and to New Zealand, and we're looking at a few other countries as well. And what we're doing is creating mechanisms whereby indigenous people can trade directly across international boundaries, utilizing the Foreign Trade Zone framework. We have minted this approach in a sense. We have an established expertise in terms of how to do this, and we're very excited about the contacts.
you were speaking about the first company being Canadian, that is ProPipe LLC. Yes. How did that business relationship, how did that connection sort of evolve? Where did that start?
Sure, it started actually at a breakfast. I was invited to have breakfast as part of the Offshore Technology Conference in Houston. And a gentleman representing ProPipe from Canada came up to me, and we began a conversation, and one thing led to the other, and now we have ProPipe. So it was the French that put us in touch with the Canadians that resulted in our first company.
Why did they choose Iron Horse?
Because of the reasons I've already articulated. We're in the center of the country. They are oil patch oriented, which makes it even more important for more important for them. The fact that we monetized our taxing ability as savings for the customers and so on.
Just makes too much sense.
Oh, certainly. It's a real easy decision for the company decision makers to make once they see the entire package. We are well known in some circles, and we're trying to become well known in others.
So what are some of the precautions that your office is taking place to ensure that Iron Horse meets current tribal environmental standards? We are talking about, production and industrial businesses.
Well, we've turned down several companies that were recommended to us, and we are very sensitive to the fact that the tribal lineage really from time immemorial emphasizes care of the environment and taking the long-term picture. So we do not really recruit companies that have environmental challenges. We're also very tuned in to the principles of the circular economy. And the circular economy is akin to industrial ecology. This says essentially utilizing the same resources over and over again and utilizing renewable energy as far as possible. Ideally, what we're trying to recruit are batches of companies that use each other's waste products as part of their production processes. That would be our perfect picture. Easy said, tough to do, but that is always in front of us, always on our horizon.
So that way, when one company is done with something, the next company is just picking it up.
That's right. So again, the fundamental principle of circular economy is to utilize the resources indefinitely. You don't utilize them once or twice and then throw them away, landfill them, or put them in a stream. You just keep utilizing them over and over and over again.
How does that idea of the circular economy play into how Iron Horse looks to protect long-term assets as far as the land that the park is physically built on goes?
Well, it goes hand in hand. If we're not polluting the soil, then the soil will last indefinitely. That's the whole idea behind it. We will be installing solar panels, and certainly our electrical supply provider, it has a huge renewable energy component to them. So every decision we make is based with environmental sustainability in mind.
How will the recent McGirt ruling impact someone interested perhaps in doing business with Iron Horse and with CPN?
Shouldn't have an impact one way or the other. We monitor it every day, of course, but or almost every day. But I don't think right now it's going to have much of an impact. The tribe operates under the purview of Congress. Tribes do not report to state or local governments on trust land, which of course Iron Horse is. The McGirt ruling, while a U.S. Supreme Court ruling, really is not going to impact our commerce within Iron Horse. We just don't see any ramifications.
How will the larger community and Pottawatomie County that CPN is part of geographically benefit from businesses locating at Iron Horse?
Well, it starts at the individual level. I mean, the majority of the CPN employees are non-tribal members, and that will carry over to Iron Horse as well. There's also the multiplier effect, meaning the multiplier concept says a particular new job into the area has value relative to other types of jobs. So a new retail job does not add a lot of economic activity because they pay low and the resources, the inputs into creating that job are pretty low. Juxtapose that to the other end of the spectrum, manufacturing jobs have high economic impacts, have high multipliers because they pay more, and generally the production inputs are more expensive as well. And all that creates money that is circulated over and over again in the economy. So in terms of the economic development game, manufacturing is really the highest priority because it's the biggest bang for the buck.
What are the next steps for Iron Horse's growth?
Continuing to market the park and continuing our outreach efforts internationally. So we'll just continue the effort. And the park started off at 400 acres. It's at 700 acres now. This has been a tremendous team effort, obviously, and the leadership and the vision provided by Chairman Barrett, and that's what started the whole thing. And it's that kind of champion that kind of support and encouragement and vision provided by Chairman Barrett has made Iron Horse possible. It wouldn't exist without him. We'll see what the future holds, but it's pretty bright.
For more information on Iron Horse Industrial Park, visit ironhorsecpn.com or email James Collard at jcollard@pottawatomie.org.